Hey guys, remember I promised to tell you about the state of the market at first hand? Well, get ready. Now you'll learn all the secrets from the guru of crypto trading, Tone Vays. Today, I'll get the answers to the following questions. What is happening to BTC market? How much will Bitcoin cost in the future? Why BTC is cooler than all the other cryptocurrencies? What a major problem does Vitalik Buterin have? What will happen to Ethereum and other altcoins? How crypto exchanges manipulate trading. Hey, not so fast. A little backstory for you so you realize what it costs to get an interview with Tone Vays. So not so long ago, I met Sergey Kalinin, the investment director at Blockbit Capital. Well, I wanted to invest money securely. I'm just thinking about a way to grow old and be carefree about it. But the stars say they had other plans for me. Sergey arrived to Kiev, the heart of the largest European country, Ukraine. Hey, you thought there's only Borscht and Cossacks? Well, you're mistaken. Kiev has long been fighting for the title of a new global crypto center. And last week, Smile Expo hosted the blockchain and Bitcoin conference here. Even the coolest crypto conference can envy this event. And imagine, there was a guru of crypto trading, a person with 10 years of trading experience. His character was tempered in the largest companies of Wall Street to once blow up all the crypto market. And this is Tone Vays. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm talking too much. Let's give the floor to our crypto correspondent in Kiev.
Hello guys, we're in Kiev. Hi Luis.
Hi everyone, this is Tone Vays. Thank you for having me on NakamotoJedi channel. Looking forward to talking about Bitcoin and really enjoying Kiev. It's been great.
Ton, look, all indicators going well. We see a lot of indicators trying to develop something better. But at the same moment, the price of Bitcoin dropped down again. Someone tells this is because of empty GOX, someone told because of Goldman Sachs, any other issues. But what do you think about real issue from your point of view?
I think that Bitcoin is just in a bear market. I think the price of Bitcoin went up a little too high, and we now need to go down a little bit too low. If you ask me, what do I think a true valuation of a Bitcoin for today? Somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000, I think is a reasonable valuation for Bitcoin. But because we went all the way to $20,000 and we didn't slowly move into the $4,000 to $5,000 range, we have to overshoot to the downside. I think we are going to fall below 5,000 and we're probably going to go to 4 and we might even go to 3. And there's nothing wrong with that. Bitcoin technology is doing amazingly well. People in the news just pick excuses as to why Bitcoin's going down. Bitcoin's going down because the hype is over and it started to fall. And people that bought at a higher price start to feel really bad about their purchase and they sell. And as long as Bitcoin's going down, no one is ready to buy it yet, but people are still ready to sell. When the last guy panics and eventually sells, there will be nobody left to sell, and the only people left will be the buyers.
Maybe it makes sense in some issues, but definitely because these price fluctuations, people starting to think it's will long all the time.
Yeah, I mean, nothing goes up forever. There's nothing different. I'm sorry, guys. Bitcoin is nothing different. I did my presentation today and I talked about the internet. Think of Bitcoin like the internet. Don't think of Bitcoin like a company. Ethereum is a company. EOS is a company. Zcash is a company. They're companies. They have leaders, they have structure, they have governance, most of them have a CEO that's in charge. They are totally centralized. They are companies. Bitcoin is not a company. Bitcoin is like the internet. The internet bubble topped in the year 2000 where NASDAQ was $5,000. The NASDAQ was not $5,000 again until 2015. It took 15 years for the price of things on the internet to recover. But think about the internet. Do you remember the internet in 2000?
More or less.
Do you remember the internet in 2015?
Yeah, sure.
How much better was the internet in 2015 than 2000? It was like, what, 1,000 times better?
So we will see Bitcoin 100 times better.
No, but the point is, right, the internet was probably 1,000 times better in 2015 than in 2000. But the value of the NASDAQ was the same, right? So even though the price of Bitcoin is going down, and it can take the price of Bitcoin another year and a half or 2 years to come back to its all-time high, the value of Bitcoin, the functionality of Bitcoin, the popularity of Bitcoin can continue to increase exponentially without the price increasing exponentially. It can happen because it happened with the internet and the .com. Bitcoin is going to come back, and when it comes back, everyone will just use it. They may not even know they're using it, but eventually Bitcoin will be the base layer of most financial transactions. But it needs to be technologically stable, and it needs to be done right. And if the price goes up too high, it screws with the proper underlying technological incentives and improvements.
In general, you think that bear market will prolong till end of the year?
I still think that it's possible that the bear market will end in late October, early November, but it's slowly becoming very unlikely. And if we get to October 1st, it could become very unlikely because I see no end to the bear market as of today. Things can happen between now and end of October. I mean, 6 weeks is a year in most stocks. 6 weeks in Bitcoin is like a year in Apple stock. So anything can happen in the next 6 weeks, but it's looking very unlikely that the bear market is going to end this year.
You say that price of Bitcoin go up, like BitPay. Someone say about altcoins, they will go to zero, like you. But in general, what do you think about altcoins?
I try not to think about altcoins. I find them generally irrelevant. The only thing that interests me in the entire crypto space is Bitcoin. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin is actually decentralized.
Now, it's a tricky question about Vitalik. Because, recently he said about it's at the moment it's impossible to fold out 1000x in a near future. What do you think? Is it possible to gain, I don't know, 1000 fold up with, let's say, in crypto market?
I mean, if you have a really small, cheap altcoin and you have the right promoters, like a Vitalik, of course it's possible. Anything is possible. Is Bitcoin going to go up 1000x? Probably not. Ethereum? I don't think Ethereum is ever going to go up again. I think Ethereum is unscalable. I think they have way too much data. I think people in Ethereum are realizing that data storage and data transfer are expensive, and they're not instant, and they're not fast. And Ethereum is just another centralized platform, in my opinion, and they have competition from other centralized platforms like EOS, Tezos, Cardano, Waves, you name them, right? And more are coming. More are coming, right? And eventually Google is going to build them a better smart contract platform, and it will be even more centralized and more efficient and faster and cheaper, right? So, I mean, Vitalik is just trying to lower expectations because Vitalik is under a lot of pressure. And the reason why Vitalik is under a lot of pressure is because he put that pressure on himself by building Ethereum and not being an anonymous person that disappeared like a Satoshi Nakamoto, right? People don't realize that the reason why Bitcoin is successful is because Satoshi was never found and he walked away. That is so critical. Ethereum is Vitalik. Vitalik is Ethereum. And if Vitalik leaves Ethereum, I don't know if that's going to be good or bad. I think it's dangerous for Vitalik to even come to America because if the SEC announces that he created an uncompliant security, which I always said that he did, he's in serious trouble.
A lot of people talking about exchanges, about volumes, about fake volumes, all that, let's say, bullshit. What do you think about volumes in general and figures which exchanges produce for all of us?
So exchange volume is always a big topic. I remember when about 2 years ago, something like that, about 2 years ago, when I kept doing my price analysis, and I kept doing my price analysis off of the US dollar price of Bitcoin. I was using Bitfinex, I was using Bitstamp as my price base. And everyone was making fun of me saying, why do you care? The Chinese volume is 90% of all volume. Why aren't you analyzing Bitcoin in the Chinese yuan? And my answer was simple. The volume is fake. No one cares. No one cares about the Chinese price of Bitcoin. It's irrelevant. The volume is fake. If you know the volume is fake, it doesn't matter. And it was proven when the Chinese regulators and the Chinese government showed up at the Chinese exchanges, that volume went away. And you know what? They did it to themselves. If those Chinese exchanges would have done an honest job, maybe they would still be relevant today, okay? So, and no one learned that lesson. Fake volume in China destroyed their exchanges, right? So some exchanges are doing fake volume because if you do fake volume and you show fake volume, more people will trade on your exchange. In reality, it doesn't matter. If every exchange is doing fake volume, then it's once again an even playing field, right? If everyone is cheating, if everyone is using steroids in your sport, then once again, it's an even playing field, right? So it's not good. You don't want steroids in your sport. You want to clean it up. So hey, the crypto space doesn't like regulation. You don't want regulation? Deal with it. It really bothers me how I accept the fact that Bitcoin is unregulated, and therefore I don't trade Bitcoin. I know it's an unregulated environment. I don't trade Bitcoin. That's one of the reasons I don't trade Bitcoin. Another reason is I don't want my Bitcoin to be hacked or stolen by the exchange itself. I would trade the Bitcoin futures. They're not liquid enough for me. I'm waiting for the Bitcoin ETF. If it comes out, I'm happy to trade the Bitcoin ETF. I think it will have a lot of liquidity. Now, I don't know if I want the ETF, but if the ETF's there, I'll probably trade it. I don't want to put my Bitcoin at risk on these unregulated exchanges. I don't trust what the exchanges are doing, and my travel schedule doesn't really allow me to trade even if I wanted to at the moment. But I hate it when people complain to me that everything in Bitcoin is manipulated. My answer to them is, so go trade Apple stock. You don't like it? No one is forcing you here, right? Don't complain to me. I know Bitcoin. You wanted this. You can either regulate yourself, which you are incapable of doing, or you ask for regulation to come in. And if you don't ask for regulation to come in, and if you continue to do stupid stuff, illegal stuff, the regulation will come in by itself. The government will eventually show up, and they're going to clean this mess up, just like they did in China. China came in, they cleaned up the exchanges, then they closed the exchanges, some of them are still in operation, and they looked at They took a random sample of 60 ICOs. They said every one of these 60 ICOs is a scam, and I agreed with them. I took a look at those 60 ICOs. Every one of them was a scam. China showed up. They look at 60 ICOs. They go 60 ICOs, 60 scams. Therefore, all ICOs are banned. I think it was the right decision. You know what? Clean up your own space. Don't complain. And either clean up your own space or don't complain. It's that simple. If it bothers you, go trade the stock market that's not manipulated.
God, man, that was cool, right? Honestly, frankly, dynamically. I love this guy. And you know what? Now we have the same t-shirts, huh?
Thank you so much. Love the shirt. It's absolutely awesome.
Hey guys, would you like to have such a t-shirt? Write it in the comments. And now I'm going to look for another victim for the interview.